So I saw a video on Virtual Riot's channel. I think it was by Mr. Bill, where he basically did a breakdown on one of his remixes. And he showed this Ableton rack that basically acts as a distortion of a master, but it preserves the transients of drums and shit. So I tried recreating that in Reaper, and surprisingly enough, it worked somehow. And I want to show you this because I'm really proud of it, and I seek validation. First things first, the master is 4 channels. The entire thing goes into channels 1 and 2, except for the drums, which I am sending to channels 3 and 4. You should probably just do this with your kicks and your snares, but because I'm lazy, I'm just doing it on the entire drum folder. And then in the processing on the master, I have 3 containers in here. The first one is entirely empty, and all it does is it puts channels 3 and 4, as in your kicks, back at your main channels, because for some reason you can't send shit to your master on more than 2 channels at once, I guess. And then I have these 2 containers, which are running in parallel. So you have to make these containers, and then go to the bottom one, and click this one, run selected effects in parallel with previous effects, merge MIDI. Basically, this is gonna run these 2 containers side by side, and share all the MIDI in between them, which is important, and I'll show you why. So in the first one, we have a noise gate, and all this does is it sends a MIDI note whenever it reaches this threshold. So whenever there's a drum hit, this is just going to send a MIDI note, and I have it set to preview filter output. Basically, we're just bypassing the entire gate. We just want this thing to send a MIDI note. And then I have a little VST called Flux Mini 2. If you have LFO tool or Shaper Box or whatever, you can use that instead. I'm using this because it's free, and I don't feel like paying money for a meme song. And what this does is it's just a very short top-off, basically. We are really only interested in like the first split second of the drums. And this is set to trigger on MIDI, I hope. And then in my other container, I have another Flux Mini also set to trigger on MIDI, and it just does the exact opposite. And then in here, you can do whatever processing you want to do on anything that isn't a transient. So in my case, that's just a clipper, because distortion is cool and awesome. That's basically it. There's no special routing in here at all. And even here, there's nothing interesting happening in the routing. I just set the detector input to be auxiliary. And because we have preview filter output set up here, this noise gate is also taking channels 3 and 4 from our master, which is just our drums, and then just spitting that out on channels 1 and 2 for this container. So yeah, that's basically all there is to this thing.